All right. And ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to POPS, Pathway of Professional Speakers. I'm Robin Roberts. I am your president for this Toastmaster year, and I welcome you to our first March meeting. Thank you for being here. I know we have some guests today, and I will be checking in with you at the end of the meeting to find out how you got here and what you thought of the meeting. So please do stay around. Definitely would love to have your input. If you visited before, I still want you to stay around, but come on, just join. Just go ahead and join. I'm just so honored to tell you today how the contest went yesterday with our representative, John Kelly. John competed in the Table Topics and International Speech Contest. He placed first in the Table Topics contest, so yay, he will be going on to the division to represent POPS. And then he placed second place in the International Speech Contest. Yep. So he's the bridesmaid. He's ready. If the person who won should not be able to make it, then John's our guy there too. But he still did admirable, and we're so excited. John, thank you very much for so ably representing POPS. We salute you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Today's meeting is very full, so I am going to pass the torch, as it were, right now to our Toastmaster for the day, the one, the only, Debbie Adair. Debbie, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Robin. I see people popping on. Hello, Mark, and I think Margaret's here. And as Robin said, we introduce our guests at the end of the meeting. This is a very interesting meeting that we're going to have. Interesting, like great, but at the other piece, we don't have a lot of the other roles filled. In other words, there's no general evaluator, so I will be that person. And for that matter, there are no evaluators. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to play. We are going to all be evaluators after. We'll do what is fondly called a round robin. Now, Robin gets a good thing to go with her name, round robin. I always have the Debbie Downer, so don't, no, round robin, okay. And so what I am going to do when I'm introducing our two speakers, Katie and Robin, they've both given me something to think about, like you would give to an evaluator. So I'm going to set that up. So when you're listening to their speeches, and to give advice on how they could improve or what they need to do or whatever, you will have what their goals are in mind. Make sense? Let's see, what else? I want to remind people that although POPS is an advanced Toastmaster organization, yes, it is. More than that, we are looking to either become professionals, or if we are professionals, to be better, because really that's the theme of POPS. It is about professional speaking, and thus you will see that different people have different times, and it's all about learning how they can best work their business, because we are either professional speakers, we want to be a professional speaker, or maybe we work for a company and speaking is part of our job. So that's how we set it up. Now, Yvette, thank you for signing up as the timer. Would you like to give the timing rules for our two presenters?
Thank you, Debbie. Robin will be speaking for 15 to 20 minutes. 15 minutes, she will see the green. And then, well, at red, she has, at 20 minutes, she will see red, and then she has 30 seconds to wrap it up. Katie is speaking from 35 to 40. At 35, she will see green, and then 40 minutes, she will see red, and then she has 30 seconds to wrap it up. We're not timing. With the round robin, we're doing 1 to 2 minutes. And if Debbie calls on you to speak, you have that amount of time to speak. And I will show you I'll show you the colors at that time. Back to you, Debbie.
Okay, thank you. All right, are we ready? Katie Chamberlain is our first speaker today. Now, let me just tell you what her criteria is. And I want to remind everybody to put yourselves on mute until it's your turn to talk. But okay, these are Katie's goals. She wants to explain why she is the right person for this topic. She wants to make the topic relatable. And she wants to invite the audience to play along so that they will engage with her presentation. In other words, you're going to see some polls. You're going to be impressed because I've had an opportunity to watch. All right. So with that in mind, let me read her official introduction. Are you ready, Katie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Katie Chamberlain has run into a lot of obstacles in her life. Sometimes she got stuck, and other times she was unstoppable. Can you relate? I know I can. Is there something you really want to accomplish, but you've never achieved it? Well, tired of feeling frustrated, Katie finally created and now practices a system for successfully reaching her goals. Today, she is here today to take you on a journey of discovery about being a professional speaker by using her unstoppable method. Grab a pen and a paper and play along and find out, are you stoppable or unstoppable? Please help me welcome to the Zoom podium, Katie Chamberlain. Yay!
Yay. Thank you very much, Debbie. You know, I know all of you here are because you are either a professional speaker or you're on that journey. So this program today is about taking it to the next level, whether it's just getting started or whether you're already very experienced. I will tell you that I wanted to be a professional speaker once, and I got stuck, and I never got any further. And as I mentioned in my introduction, there's a lot of other times that I just got stuck. But the upside of that is I finally figured out how to achieve my goals. And I also have worked with people and taught them as well. So again, jump in. We're going to have a great time today. My first question to you, though, is, are you stoppable or unstoppable? That's what it all comes down to in the end. Now, the takeaways today, when you go home, the first thing is that you're going to have a clear vision of what you want to be as a professional speaker. How are you going to know you've made it? And we're really concentrating on the next level, either for the first time or beyond. I'm going to discuss the method for moving forward. What does it take? It's not complicated, but if you have to follow it step by step. And then we're going to take some time to figure out what's stopping you, because that's one of the biggest, that's just like they're roadblocks. I've been there. I know what it feels like. And there are ways around it. But first, you need to know what's stopping you. But before we get started, I want us to know a little bit about each other. So we're going to do some polls. Just take a minute. I launched it. This is my first time. Do you see it on the screen? Just answer. It's a single question. How long have you wanted to be a professional speaker? And these are anonymous, so no one will see it. We have 13 people, but we'll see how long it takes. Okay. Wow, this is very interesting because I'm watching them. All right, we're at 10. We're almost there. 12. And I think one person might be. So now I'm going to share the results. Can you see them? It's not like somebody woke up yesterday and they want to do this. They've been wanting to do this for a long time. All right, so now the next part is the next question is, in order to reach where we're going, you need to be able to know what the finish line looks like. So here are 3 questions. How many presentations per year do you think it would be? Now you're thinking about your next level of speaking. So either as a beginner, how much you get paid, or how much you make as an annual one. What do you think? Now, when you submit that, you should see the second question, correct? Okay, we have 10 out of 13. We'll wait another minute or so. The reason I'm asking this is because as you create the definition, when you create your goal, you want to be able to say, I crossed the finish line. And these are some ways that you can do it. They're not the only way that you can measure, but if you say something like, I want to be a better speaker, or I want to give better presentations, that's really hard to judge. That's really nebulous. So let's see what people put. Now, presentations per year. Nobody wants to go be that on the road every day, over 100 person. But you can see that most people are just saying, hey, you know, if I did between 1 to 10 per year to get started, that's a good way to do it. Nobody wants to give free speeches. The next level for everybody is to get paid at least something. And then the last one is annual income. And this is all your revenue stream. Say if you were to sell books when you were there, or you sold autographs, I don't know, I'm making it up. But interestingly enough, that the statistic that I read said that about 78% of quote unquote professional speakers make between $10,000 and $11,000 a year. All right. So let's close this up. Do you find this interesting? Shake your head if you find it interesting or if it's boring. Okay. So we said, how long do we want to be? How did we know? You know, that's just what we went through. How would you measure it? And then the next one is, so you've answered those 3 questions, but now of those, what ones, pick the one that's most important for you, for what your definition of where you want to be next as a professional speaker. What's the most important? What's the less and what's the least? Okay, we're getting close. 10 out of 13 people. Okay. I'm going to share these results. Interestingly enough, I'm still learning. When I'm scrolling this, do you see it scrolling? Okay, well then that helps me understand. Presentations per year got the most important there. And then fees per were next, and then the annual income. So that's less. So people feel like the next step for them, the best way of defining is how many presentations or maybe how much. And so I've asked you a lot of questions and you've learned what everybody else does. But now I want you to take a minute and I want you to, what does that look like? What does your next level of professional speaking look like? It needs to be concise and it needs to be measurable, because you want to know if you've won. Like, am I there yet? And so I gave you some metrics, some ways that you could do that, but it's up to you to think about it. And if you want to share, you can and you come up with it, one sentence or so, put it in the chat, but it's not going to be anonymous then, but that's when, but feel free to do that if you want to. I'll give it another 30 seconds. Most people have an idea in their head of what it's going to look like to get to that next level. Being on Zoom is very different than being in person. You know, when people are writing like this and you're in the room, and then when their head comes up, you can kind of tell, isn't it? All right, and then this is the last poll for right now. The question is, let me stop. Oh, I didn't stop share. Okay, learning. So the question is, where are you going to be in 12 months? There's 3 questions here talking about how much energy and effort and focus you feel you have to give to becoming a professional speaker in the next 12 months. And that includes marketing as well as speaking. Okay, 10 out of 13. I'll wait for one more person. All right, thank you, everyone. Now get here and share it. You know, I have to say, I'm really appreciate that somebody was really honest. They're like, no, I'm not willing to do this. You know, but yet there's other people, and there are no right or wrong answers here. I'm just doing this to kind of show you where the group is, other people in the groups, but this is all about you. This is not about how everybody else is doing, and you don't measure yourself against them. You do it for yourself. So people will generally spend quite a bit of time working on this. And then again, how unlikely? It could very well be that they're not here to be a professional speaker. There's another reason. But there's a lot of very confident, 42% of you are very confident that you're going to make it to that next level. All right, so that's the end of our polls for quite some time now. The unstoppable system, here is the secret. We're going to turn no can do into know, plan, and do. That's the system. You don't take no for an answer. We are going to work it through. It's an unstoppable system. What I do know is that it works because I've lived it. And I know it works because I've shared it with other people through some beta testing. And it's not fit for everybody, but for the people who have taken it and has used it, I've seen them grow. It's just been an honor to watch them. And it's been a huge life-changing situation. And that sounds kind of funny, but it's because when they start something, they know that they're going to get it finished. And they just keep doing it week in and week out and accomplishing it. So here's where people get stuck. You get stuck in the knowledge phase, you get stuck in the planning phase, you get stuck in not doing the work or not doing the right work. And feedback is just how it closes up the system. And the reason I'm so good at talking about this is because I've been stuck in all of these phases. And there are ways to get past it. And it's a system. So how much you get stuck in the knowledge phase? You know, it might be a skill, it might be self-knowledge, it might be a topic or something that doesn't work. If you don't know what you need to know, you can do all the work you want to do, but it's not the right work. So I'm going to use POPs as an example. of a possible knowledge gap. You all know how to craft speeches, you know how to develop well, but if you're going to be a professional speaker, it's a business. And so your weaknesses might be in identifying your target market. Your weakness might be how you articulate the value that you deliver, and or you don't have the language to describe what you do. So having the knowledge gap and then going and figuring out what the weakness is and what it is that you need is the first step. And I'm going to use this one way to do that. Remember the target market and the what your value is. Here's an exercise before any speech that you give. You know, who is your audience? What do you want them to think, feel, or do differently? But here's the key. Who is your client? What does your client want the audience to think, feel, or do differently? Annette, if it's okay, I'm going to use her as my example. She gave a really nice presentation about a month ago, and it was to people in the restaurant business. And so with her, she knows who the audience is, but maybe she segments it more. You know, is it people that already own a business? Is it people who are struggling with marketing? Is it people who are getting discouraged because there's so many terrible things to do? So what is it in her, when she looks at her audience, that she wants them to do differently, and to be very specific and to help them? But then who is her client, right? The restaurant association, we're going to assume that the restaurant association was her client. So what does the client want? They want the people who attend, who are members, to be like ecstatic. They want to feel like they got something out of it. They want to feel like the association gave them something. And so one of the things that Annette could do when she was kind of doing her speech is she could look at some of the benefits and services that the organization provides and include that in her speech. So she makes the organization, the association, be a star. So that's how, if you get stuck in there, planning is pretty easy. We all like, yeah, I know how to do planning, but what we do differently is that we don't use the in 10 years, in 20 years, in 5 years, in 3 years. I found that we're all very, very, very busy. And the key is to look at figure out what the next step is, right? What is the thing that is going to take you closer to your goal of that definition of being a professional speaker or getting to the next level? And you know, you're not always going to know. And so what happens is you just have to sometimes take a stab at it and then realize, oh, I need to make adjustments. But here is the real key. Just focus on the next 7 days. Don't worry about what you're going to do next month or whatever. You can have a general idea, but now select a task. You've looked at the next 7 days. You have an idea of how much time you might have to spend on it. You select the task and then set a date and time. Again, statistically, I think it's like 77% of the people who actually select a date and time, and that could be afternoon. It doesn't have to be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, accomplish their goals more frequently than people who don't. So the key is to really define what you want, get in there, know what the right next step is, only plan the next 7 days, and set it up to yourself for success. Now you say, oh, do the work. Why doesn't she have anything listed? Why isn't she helping me get any ideas on how to do that? But the truth of the matter is, in order to do the work, it's mostly about removing roadblocks. It really is. So here's our last poll today. This one is you select all of them that apply. Anything that applies, take your time. Again, no right or wrong answers, but what do you feel like has been keeping you from getting to that next level of public speaking and professional speaking? All righty, let's see what we all have in common. Not enough time, 50%. Half of you said I could use more time. Another one is not enough money. So if you don't have enough money, one of those challenges I'm going to say to you is that maybe your next step is to figure out how to raise the money or what you need to do differently or whatnot. If you don't have enough time, the reality of not enough time is you're going to have to give something else up in order to find the time. And the easiest way to do that is to say, I will work on it for an hour. And then the easiest things to give up, or it seems, is TV or social media. Don't give up sleep. You need that. Not enough confidence. Not enough confidence. The little key that I found there was to say, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'm here today doing a whole bunch of new technology. I've not done anything on Zoom versus a live audience where I'm used to that reaction. I have to click and show the poll, and I've got to change my flower slides. And somebody else said, well, I don't like to see slides because it makes it boring and all of that. So, but I've said, I'm going to live with that. And it's the only way you're going to get forward. Not enough energy. Yeah, I can relate to that. Again, I feel like I'm doing one-sided, where if I was, otherwise I could say, chime in, but one is physical energy and the other one is emotional energy. There are people around you that drain you, and you just have to figure that out. So again, these might be some of your next steps, is to work on these concurrently or, as you move forward. Not enough support and encouragement. Oh my goodness, that is why I created this Unstoppable method and then my Unstoppable groups, because this is something I wish had existed when I was younger. Everything I've said to you, you're like, yeah, I've heard this before. This is not anything new. And it's not, but it's how do you keep doing it week after week? How do you not give up when there's no one to say, good job? We're surrounded by people who love us and who care about us, but that doesn't mean that they understand us or what we're trying to do. Oh my, being uncomfortable, it just means getting out of your comfort zone. A third of you don't want to have to market yourself. You either have to learn how to do that and make peace with it. And I will tell you from personal experience, as I became more and more confident about the value that I offered, then it was easier to say, I deserve to be paid for this. And so I don't define myself by money, but I need to be able to support myself. If you don't know how, that's stopping you too. But luckily there are opportunities, but I think you're just going to have to be a lifelong learner and get on the internet. And maybe your next step is to just say, what don't I know? And try to say, I do know these, make a list of what you do know, and then start talking to people who are doing the work and see where the difference is. And you don't feel like doing the work. Well, got that. But if you don't do the work, you're never going to get ahead. So the best thing to do there is to set that time and date. Like I said, be very specific, and then promise yourself that you will do work for 10 minutes. Because oftentimes once you get started, you can do it. All right, well, we'll have some questions later, but that's really the thing that will kill you most are those roadblocks. We did that one. So now now we're going to kind of walk through the plan as if you were doing it, we were doing it together, and go back to that definition. Go like this if you think that you have an idea of what the next step that you need to take is. Okay. So write that down. What is that next step that you need to take? And can you do all of that in the next 7 days? If not, what tasks from that next step can you do? Break it down. Think about your next 7 days, your next week before next Sunday. Do you have some time? How much time do you have? What is it you're going to do? And if you don't know what to do or what the next step is, how your next step is how to investigate what that might be. And probably if you're trying to be a professional speaker, it's to find somebody else in this group and email them and say, hey, would you talk with me for 10 minutes or something? And just tell me. All right. You all have that task. Now, what day of the week are you going to do it? This upcoming week. And you're like, this is not anything new. But I swear that if you do this, if you keep doing it, you're going to get there. So the next one, though, is those roadblocks. Think about the roadblocks. Which one is the worst? Which one is the most pressing? Which one is the most effective in stopping you? You know, one of the things that happened to me was I worked at Disney. It's a very long story. I'll make it short. But I used to have to go 45 minutes early because I had to ride a bus in the back lot to where I had to go, but there was no schedule. And I was just like, wow, this is wasting my time. And then at night, the buses, here I am, been all day on my feet. I wanted to just get on the bus to go home. And one bus was full. Next bus came, it was full. So now, 45 minutes later, I finally get on the bus to get back to my car. And I said, I either have to change this or I have to shut up and just suck it up, right? But even though it seemed like it was impossible that one person working at a merchandising place at Epcot Disney could make a schedule happen, I did. I'm not going to go through the details, but the point was, I just said, I'm not going to worry. I'm just see if I can get past the next step. I just need to see, they gave me this thing about the Kool-Aid about, oh, we care, we want to listen. So I said, okay, let's see if we can find someone. And so it's just one step after another. And now I just met someone the other day who worked at Disney after me. And they said, oh, I was in Epcot, there was a posted schedule. And I was like, yes. So if anything you do about here, it is pushing back those roadblocks. And then at the very end, there's feedback. And then you go back to the next step. Now the feedback, I use a very simple form of feedback. At the end of the 7 days, you say, did I accomplish that task? Yes or no. Then you have to say what went well, if anything, what didn't go well, if anything, what would I do differently? And then you pick the task for the next week and you set your commitment. And you just make a time to say, okay, next, every Sunday I'm going to go, that's it. I'm setting my task and then I'm going to check in. And it's doing these steps week after week after week. It sounds onerous, but what happens is it becomes second nature after a while. Now, the last thing is that this works when there's accountability and support, meaning, okay, we've talked about all this. I just saw some people writing things down. They're like, okay, well, maybe I could try this and see if it helps me any. But if you don't have someone to talk to, if you don't have someone to encourage you, then it's very easy to just let yourself go. So here's my offer. This is my email. If you send me an email in the next few days, I will send you that form with those few questions. And if you set a task and you report to me before 11 p.m. 59 on Eastern time on a Sunday, right? Then every Monday I will send back an email to encourage you. That's what I'm willing to do to help you do this, because that's where I'm in the process of creating these unstoppable groups. But in the meantime, I'd like to offer that up. And the other thing is that if you want to sign up for my email and my updates and stuff, they're short. I'll send you a one-page summary of this presentation that we did. All right, well, I have a few more minutes. So does anybody have a question just turn it on and ask if you'd like. All right. Was this helpful or just kind of boring, or you'll tell me that? Okay, so when you're giving me an evaluation, if this was boring, let me know. If you thought it was helpful, let me know. And then also, were the polls engaging and helpful? Okay, well, Deb, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Well done, well done. Oops,
Okay.
there we go. I have been a student of Katie's, so I know how the Unstoppable groups work. And I will also be the first one to tell you, I am amazed at how much I'm getting done. I'm just like, wow. So I am no longer stoppable. I am unstoppable. So thank you, Katie. Please take a moment to write Katie something in the chat, or prepare for the round robin, which will be more towards the end of the meeting. All right, my friend Robin, are you ready? All right. Now, remember I said I'm going to just tell you a few things to look for when you're doing the evaluation. So this is a talk that Robin is scheduled to give at the March NSA Houston meeting, a live meeting. I love it. And she is speaking and then hosting a roundtable to answer people's questions. So with that, I will say the official introduction. Robin developed her class, Grab 'em with Your Commercial, for entrepreneurs. She teaches a formula for delivering engaging commercials at networking events which have energy and intrigue. Robin teaches a method for making your 30 to 60-second commercial enticing, which leaves the listeners, buyers, and bookers to ask for more. Today, she gives us an overview of her talk, and she will work with you at her roundtable to answer the questions and demonstrates how you can use this formula to attract more business. Please help me welcome to the pop stage our own president, Robin Roberts. Take it away, my friend. You're muted.
I was just testing you, all of you, because here's the question. Do you like rules? Because I'm going to give you a fair warning right now. I'm breaking the rules. And I am breaking the rules so that you and I can be more successful when it's time to show up and do our commercial. I don't know about you, but I have sat through many a very long, boring commercial, even when it was only supposed to be a short commercial. So I came up with the rules to break and a formula to use so that you can have a great commercial and achieve the goal that you want. So hang in there with me. We'll break the rules, and then I'm going to give you some new rules so that you too, with this formula, can give an amazing commercial that is going to make people come to you and ask you to do business, which as entrepreneurs, this is what we want. They come find me. It's like a dream. Hang on just a moment. Let me let in somebody who's here. Excellent. Okay. Have you been to that meeting? And we're talking about, let's say, a networking meeting, a chamber of commerce meeting. Maybe you belong to a referral group, but the meeting and they say, all right, we're going to go around the room. Give us your name, your company, and a little something about you. Break the rule. Never, never start with your name. Do not say your name and your company name. And I'm going to explain more as we go along. And I think in the end, you will go, oh, of course. just take a moment right now and think about where you've been in one of those meetings and those people have been giving those commercials. And by the time they get to the end, do you know that person's name? And do you know their company name? You might know what they do, but you might not know their company name. So there's a reason, there's a method to my madness. We want people to remember you. So the first rule to break, never start with your name and your company name. The second rule to break is if you're given 30 to 60 seconds and you don't need 30 to 60 seconds, which you'll see once we do the formula, then don't use it. Don't ramble, make your point, hit it, and be done. If nothing else, people will remember you for being concise and to the point. So don't just keep going on. And speaking of keep going on, do not give a laundry list. Quite often, if you are in a particular business, obviously here we're speakers, but some of us have other businesses. A lot of times people are like, and they give a laundry list of what they do. They talk about themselves and their company. And I'm going to show you, I think I'm going to convince you why that is another rule that you want to break. So I've given you these rules to break. Never start with your name. Don't use all your time if you don't need it. Don't give a laundry list of what you do. Well, great. Okay. So what do you do? You're going to start by doing your homework and making a list of 8 or 9 reasons why people use you, why people would hire you, and 3 or 4 myths that they believe about what you do. For example, in my hypnosis practice, people hired me to drop weight, stop smoking, sleep better. And the myths that I'm going to control their mind, or they'll be asleep and they'll not remember anything. So this list is crucial. When you have made that list, this is the foundation. Each one of those items in that list is a commercial. That's right, a commercial. So you've got 12 to 14 items, each one is a commercial. It's not one commercial to try and stuff in those things. And here's the beauty of that, 12 to 14 items. That means that every quarter, especially if you're in a group that meets weekly, you can give a different commercial. And then in the second quarter, you can start on the round again. But this gives the people the opportunity to understand who you are. If you try and give them the whole list at one time, they get a little lost or they stop listening. And God forbid you repeat the same thing every week if you're in that kind of environment. So understand that this list is the foundation of the formula. These are the 12 to 14 things that you are going to use in your 30 to 60 second commercial. Now, there are a couple of things that I want you to think about before you shape your commercial. And the first one is, what do you want them to do? And this is kind of piggybacking on some of the things that Katie was talking about. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to come up and say, hey, I want to work with you? Or do you want them to spread the word to their friends? You need to know what action you want them to take. And that's important because honestly, people need to be told what to do. They might go, oh, that's really great. You talk about mindset. But until you really draw the picture for them, they don't always see how it relates to them specifically. So you be really certain what it is that you want from the group. And know that you are talking to different groups at different times. Here's what I mean by this. You might be talking to a group in the speaking business of speaker bureau owners, managers, and that is a really different action that you want from them than if you were talking to a group of meeting planners. And we're going to get a little more detail on what that looks like here in a moment. So know what you want them to do and know who's in the room, who are you talking to? Or are you truly just saying, here's what I do, and give examples to those people so that they can go out into their world and widen your sphere with their sphere. One of the most important things that people forget in their commercials, that is, and it's easy to forget because they tell you to talk about your company, to tell us who you are. And again, I want you to break that rule. I want you to remember you are talking to the person you want the action from. You're not talking about you. It's not about you. I know you think it is, and they told you it should be, but it's not. It's about that person that you're talking to. And putting them in your commercial. Now, this is where, when I teach the class, I only have 4 students at a time because it's very intense. And I teach the class and we go through what they do. So here was an example. I had a client who had a pool business. Now, they did construction, they did repair, they did maintenance, all kinds of anything to do with a pool. But she wanted to focus on that one item she had there was pool repair. So I said to her, okay, great. How do you know, how does someone know when they need to repair their pool? And she said, oh, that's easy because every other day you're filling it back up. Aha. So now remember, we want to have that listener really identify with what we're saying. So we came up with the first line of her commercial. And her first line was, has your hose taken up residence in your pool? Gets a laugh. People are chuckling, they're smiling, and they go, ah, I like her. So let's take a little detour for a moment and bring in my hypnosis. Because people, we don't make decisions with logic. We think we do. Oh my goodness. We think we do, and our world is all pointing towards making decisions with our logic. We've thought it through, we've analyzed everything, and here's the right thing to do. But that's not how it happens. We can do all of that planning and all of that analyzing, but in the end, that little subconscious mind, it has to be convinced that this is the right thing to do. Guess who's more easily convinced when they're laughing or smiling? You know, sometimes it's not appropriate to have something totally funny. Maybe it's a more serious topic, but it can still be lighter. It can still be intriguing. And so now, let's see, I mean, I'm sitting here listening. I know I need my pool repaired. So you telling me I repair pools is like, oh, okay, I should talk to you. But when you give me the picture of something I'm doing every day by filling that hose, filling the pool with that hose, now I want to talk to you because you get it. I like you. And at the end of the presentation or the commercials, at the end of the networking hour, whatever it might be, probably going to make my way right to that person and say, hey, man, that hose is living in my pool for sure. And now you've got that know, like, and trust factor. You have helped the person make the decision to talk to you because you appealed to their emotion. And the emotion is what takes the action. So it's really important to not make that laundry list, but to figure out why are they coming to you, and then let them put them in your shoes, give them that experience of what they're doing right now. And then they are relating back to you and they want to talk to you. I had another gal who, she's a yoga teacher. She does a lot of spiritual counseling. And every time she gave her commercial, it was that laundry list of things she did. And it was very woo-woo. And honestly, I think some people were like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not going to be talking to you. And when she came to my class, we really worked on who is she talking to? What does she want them to do? And it's like a light bulb went off and she got more simple with her commercials. And so now she uses not just her voice, but her action. She did one the other day where it was like, are you just burdened by what's going on? Do you want to have more, be more, have more energy? And people could see it in her body and they identified with that. 5 people came up to her at the end of her commercial, at the end of her networking meeting. She had never had 5 people come up to her before. And not only did they come up to her, but they came up to her and said, I need you. And isn't that what we all dream of as independent business people? And as speakers, it's no different. It's why would they choose you? What is it about what I'm offering? How can I have them see it? So for example, for a meeting planner, you might start a commercial with, it's the end of the conference and you cannot remember a conference that went any better than this one just did. Because all your speakers were right on. And that's the kind of speaker working with someone who's never going to let you down. And then you could move on into the rest of your commercial. And here's the bringing us full circle here. And here's where you put your name. I'm Robin Roberts. The mind powers everything. Because you see, now I have put them in the shoes of the person who wants to work with me. They're interested, they're intrigued by what I'm saying. Now they want to know my name. Now they're listening for my name. And I'm excited to put it out there, and now they know who I am. It wasn't just mumbled away in the beginning of the commercial. In summary, I want you to understand that your job is not to inform in a commercial, even though we've kind of been set up for that. Your job is not to inform. Your job is to intrigue. Your job is to show them what their life would be like if they used what you do, or if they referred you to someone they know. What hero, they look like such a hero because it went so well. And of course, it takes crafting. That's why we spend time on the formula itself. And I'm going to be happy to answer all the specific questions when we get to the round table. So hold those questions. We're going to look at specific instances. We'll craft something and make this an amazing, memorable commercial where, you broke all the rules. You didn't say your name first. You didn't give a laundry list. You didn't talk all about you. But what you did was you became the ruler of your own business and your own life. I'll see you at the round table.
Awesome job, my friend. Thank you. Wow. We've had 2 great speakers today. I don't know about you, but I'm going to need a nap. Just so much energy. Please take a moment to write Robin a note in the chat. And I'm going to go to the gallery. And so this is our moment where we've got about half hour, I think, but we're going to take 10 minutes on each of our speakers to do what we call round robin, which means everybody, whether you're a member or not, gets a chance to say something about our speaker, of the speech. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What should you check? And how we're going to do it. I'm going to be in charge of picking on people, but just put your hand up or put a little thumbs up or something in the screen, that would be great. So are we ready? And I bet you're gonna do, you're gonna let me know when 10 minutes have gone past with at least a green on the 10. Okay. All right, are we ready? Our first speaker up was Katie Chamberlain, and we would love some evaluations about Katie's presentation. I'm going to take a first thing to tell you, I don't want to hear about her background. And this is why both Katie and I are in rentals. Okay, when we actually do this, of course, we're going to have a great background. But for now, this is where we're playing. And you may see a cat going behind me. So that is not helpful. We want helpful things. So who wants to tell Katie what they liked, what she needs to work on? Who was our first person? Annette, I see you. Go, girl, go.
Katie, I think you did a very good job. And about your background, no, I'm only kidding. What your information is good. It's a matter of fact, it's very good because right now I am in numerous groups that are talking about just that I pay a fair amount of money to go to. So you are right on target for what you need, including, the accountability, everything right down the line. And you made it simple. Of course, how complicated can you be when you only have 15 minutes? However, now, and the only thing I would like to see is a little more energy, a little bit more modulation in your voice. Because what you're saying is good. And it is kind of tough. Like you said, it's way easier to be all steamed up when you got people in front of you and you see their responses. I did like your surveys, actually. I like them a lot. So, the only thing sandwiched in the middle, it's a little bit more voice modulation and, like, I'm going to a party kind of voice.
Yeah. Robin gave me a really good example, so now I have something to follow on. Thank you, Annette.
You're welcome, Katie.
Thanks, Annette. Great advice. John Kelly.
I could feel Katie's sincere interest in all of us. I could tell from her presentation that she cared about our success. So that's certainly a very positive. I wanted to share that for me, the poll did not work.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
And I think Lamar had a similar issue. So
Yeah.
not her fault, but it might happen at another presentation. And then I felt guilty when poor Katie was waiting. You say, oh, only 10 out of 12 people. Oh, no, I'm holding her up, but I'm not going to interrupt her to tell her. And sometimes I don't vote in a poll. The Debbie Adair rule that I picked up was if I'm, is it best if we're surveying for best speaker and I'm in the mix, I don't vote for anyone. And then I feel badly if the Toastmaster says, oh. So be aware that the poll didn't work. I think it was because I was co-hosting.
Oh, okay.
The stoppable, unstoppable. But I also think the word stuck might give you some opportunities for humor and language and fun pictures about getting stuck and then unstuck.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, John. That was great stuff. Oh, I love it. And I will say too, Katie and I have been playing with this. First of all, if you are a member of POPs, you can come on with Robin's permission to use the Zoom, which we've done for a couple of times this week, to play with the polls. But what I saw, Katie, is I think someone else should have been running the polls. And that
Okay.
really would have helped. And wouldn't it have been nice if I did it, but I'm so not technical. But I think that if someone else were running the polls, then you wouldn't be able to maybe see them until they're done. And I do think what John had said, sometimes I just don't do a poll. I just don't do it. No reason, no rhyme, no reason, but for you to say, oh, I'm waiting for more to come in. Okay, no. But if you
Yeah.
weren't running the polls, you wouldn't have known, anyway, that's something. Who else has some information and some ideas? Robin, did I see that hand?
Yes, ma'am, you did. So yes, I was co-host as well, and I think that affected my voting, just so you know. And yes, having a technical host when you're doing some of these things is
Yeah.
really helpful. I think she still would have been able to choose, share, and close, but the technical host could have just helped her out a little bit. I agree about the energy, and I think that comes when you stand. I know it
Yep.
can be awkward, but standing is just the way to get the body energy up without a lot of extra. So definitely standing up. And at the end, stop sharing your screen. When you have questions, I want to talk to you, stop sharing your screen so that we're
Okay.
not back here talking to each other. And I mean, it was great. I'm like taking notes. I'm like, uh-oh, what's my one thing I'm going to do this week? The one other thing, this is PowerPoint, and this is for everybody. PowerPoint is great, but it is meant to be graphic, not textual. So of course you do have to put some text on there, but when you're saying next week, put the picture of a calendar. When you're saying write it down, put a pen. And it has more impact, and you can bring them in one at a time. Don't get too frilly and fancy with it. But remember, it is a visual medium, and so consciously back off the text and give us pictures that say what you're saying. So we see it and we hear it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. This is great advice for everyone. Thank you. Millie, what would you like to share? How are you, girl?
I'm great. I want to thank Katie for inviting me today. I thought she did a fabulous job. And you know what? I liked the polls. I felt I liked being engaged in that way. It made me think, and it helped me connect to the gist of what she was trying to communicate. So if anything that I would have liked, I wanted more stories. I wanted to hear stories of how these work. So that's my request. But great job, Katie.
Thank you. Millie.
Oh,
Yes.
great point. Yeah, Katie, let me just tell you, Katie's got some stories to tell. And yeah, we didn't put them in, but she is a great storyteller. So Katie, yes, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. All right, who else has some advice for Katie?
Does Margaret have her hand up?
Margaret, I can't see Margaret.
I'm sorry. I just I had some surgery earlier this week, so I'm a little under the weather, but I wanted to be here to
Well,
hear
I'm
these
thrilled.
great speeches. But anyways, enough of that. Katie, I thought you did a wonderful job. I thought you had a lot of valuable information. As a matter of fact, I took some screenshots of some of the things that you had posted up there, just for remembrance of things to focus on, and steps, things like that. I wanted to see more of you, though. There was a part that I felt that, like, all this great information you were sharing with us, and that was very, very valuable, and very good suggestions, really made us think outside the box and really made us think about where it is that we really want to go with this. But I wanted to see more of you. And I felt that at some points I didn't know if you were just trying to memorize what you were saying, but I felt that your eyes were closed when you were speaking. I don't know if
Okay.
there was anybody else that had, caught on to that, but I felt, I don't know if you were just like looking down or something, but I felt like your eyes were closed. And I was thinking maybe she's trying to just remember what she wants to say
Yeah.
without reading what she wants to say, but again, I think that this speech could be done again. And I would love to hear it again, because I think that you have a lot of valuable information, and sometimes repetitive makes people remember more. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you,
thanks,
Margaret.
Margaret. It's so good to have you here. And that was great advice. Were you happy, Katie?
Yes, that is all very, very helpful.
I want to see more of Katie, yes. Anyone else? Juanice,
So I want to give a different aspect to the polls.
okay.
I like polls, but honestly, I felt there were too many at the beginning of your presentation. There was like 2 or 3 questions within one. So you had to kind of fill the first one, then go down to the second one, then go down to the third one. I'd break them up and then bring your people back into you, right? Because I think polls are great if you're going to come back and talk about them just in a general way in what the results are. But at one point you went through every single one, which I thought was valid, but in the same token, you kind of lost us, or at least I'll say you lost me. Because the poll was there and you literally go, even though they were at 17% or lower, you were still going over, well, what would happen with this? What would happen with that? What would happen with this? It's like, just take the poll out and just talk about those specifically. Yeah, and then I think there was one where you said 2 questions, but there was actually 3 questions. And I was like, wait, I can't click submit. When you're in Zoom land, and I know it's different than being in person, just acknowledge that you're in Zoom land. The one thing I kept hearing you talk about is in Zoom land versus in person, in Zoom land versus in person. Just be like, hey, we're in Zoom land, this is where we are, and let's rock it the way that we can. And let your personality in whatever you do in person be seen in the square, because that's what they're paying you for, right? They want you to talk about it however, whichever way you're giving it, is to talk about it in that way. And I think if you look at it as in, just because I can't see people when they're going up and down, I'm still going to do it the way that I'm normally used to doing it. And then one thing I would say is, it's nothing wrong with like asking somebody 1 or 2 questions. If you had, like, you knew Debbie, you could have asked her a question to get her in. It engaged some of the other people in the process. But your information was great. I really did. I'm kind of like everybody else, like, okay, what task do I need to get done today, this week, which is a lot, but I'm gonna stick with one. So thank you very much for the information, Katie.
Thank you, Juanice. And now that was such great advice. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to join POPs. What can I say? Membership all the way. All right, we are at the 10-minute mark for Katie. Katie, were you helpful? Was this information helpful for you for your presentation?
Yes, it was, because I was doing a lot of new things today. And so everything that's everybody had to say, I took to heart and said, yeah, I could see how that works. I see how that applies. All right. And so thank you, because all of you have made me better today, because you've made me aware of things that I will try to do differently.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to do this again in a month or so, because we want to see all the changes. So our next speaker that we will do the round robin type of evaluations is none other than Robin Roberts. So how did anybody comment on Robin's presentation? Annette?
Sent a little note to Robin. Robin sounds very professional, and she draws you in. She draws you in with her smile, with her attitude. I like the fact that she likes breaking rules, because that's my favorite thing to do ever. I just think Robin is top notch, and I'm sure there are improvements, but when somebody pulls me in, engages me in what they say, I don't find a lot of need to say, why don't you do it differently? So, and that's my personal opinion. I think she covered some really good things. Necessary things. I mean, yeah. Hi, my name is Annette Fazio, and I do this. I mean, you are in Snore City immediately, as soon as that happens. And she brings that out, and it is the truth. So I happen to like Robin. I like her style. I like how she sounds, and I don't have a lot of, maybe you could do this better. But what do I know?
Wow. Thank you, Annette. And it's just as much as it's important to hear feedback of how to make changes. I'm sorry, I like it when people say, that is perfect. I love it, because that's feedback too. That's feedback too. Who else has something that they want to share with Robin? Mark?
Hey, Debbie, this is Mark. Could I ask a question? Hi. Is there, for Robin, in the commercial, is there, does the industry have, or any perhaps psychological profile have, how many times you have to say your company's name or your name if you are the product, or the product's name, for it to sink in? Is there say in a 1 minute commercial versus a 30-second commercial, is there a number of times that those words must be used to be effective?
I'm not aware of that, but because the environment that I'm thinking of is you're standing here, and the goal is, and this is the goal is to make people come and ask you something. They see you, they know who you are, and whatever your company name is, and so we're talking in a real specific environment, in like a networking environment, as opposed to like a commercial on video. It's not that. It's, I'm in the room and you can come up and grab me and go, I need to talk to you. So that is important information, but it's kind of an apple to the oranges I was talking about.
If I can just tell you, in the world of actual radio commercial, you need to say it around 6 times.
Yeah.
But in person, you need to be just like Robin. Or, you need to be engaging, and you do need to say, well, you can't keep saying your name but your company and maybe what you do a couple of times to make them want to go, oh, wait, I got to write this down. So.
Yeah, and absolutely, in somewhere where I don't have a visual, you're going to have to get to me auditorially. So, yeah.
I loved that you said you are a rule breaker. I love that. So I thought of, because I'm visual, wouldn't it be fun if you had something, just say a stick. Do you have a stick that you can break? Like,
oh my God, you're reading my mind. Listen, look at this. I made this today. It's
Yeah.
Forge. And what I'm going to do, but I was playing with it and I thought, no. So it's going to be like, you're forewarned. Here we go. Today we are breaking the rules. And when I'm doing it for myself, not giving a presentation, but when I give this at the next networking thing, I will have 2 halves. And for the 2 people, each person who gets a half will get a 15% discount on the class. So you got to be up here and get to me and talk to me to get one of those 2 before someone else. So great ones, think alike, chica.
We do. Wow, that's going to be great. All right, who else wants to share something to Robin to help her be better? Because this presentation's coming up at the end of the month, correct?
Sure. We heard earlier a comment about stories and how effective stories are. And I think Robin gave us a great example of an anecdote that stayed with me. And it was about the yoga instructor, and especially the body language of, oh, don't you feel burdened? And I can help you with that. And then the punchline, the anecdote, people saying, I need you. That was a great story. One suggestion for me is the word commercial. My mind went down the wrong track for a minute because I thought you really were going to be talking about a 30-second or a 60-second radio or television spot. And my mind got back on track, but it did have a little bit of that detour. I wonder if pitching and networking are words that might have put me on the right track more immediately.
And that's great feedback. I appreciate it, because I did, when I first was doing this, I was like, I got to make sure I set the stage. And so obviously I did not set the stage enough. So thank you very much.
Awesome feedback, my friends. I love this. I love this maybe better than just a evaluator. This is all such great information. Lamar, you have an idea for Robin or a comment?
Yes, first I thought it was absolutely excellent, Robin.
Thank you.
Absolutely excellent. I got it all the way this time. I think you said something to me as feedback before that I think I understood it maybe intellectually, maybe at the surface level, but this time I got it all the way down. For a while there, I couldn't think of anything that you could possibly improve, by the way. But now that we're talking about maybe understanding that you were originally talking about what I would call more an elevator pitch as opposed to a commercial. Maybe set it up as, have you ever heard that you're supposed to be able to have an elevator pitch, something that's 30 seconds to a minute, blah, 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 is your setup, and ask it as a question to kind of increase that audience interaction. When you were talking about it as a commercial, I actually had a person make a commercial for me, and listening to you made me realize that it's totally wrong. So if you want a before and after of an actual commercial that could be this is how to do it wrong, this is how to do it right, and actually show it, I've got a 1 minute wrong that we need to make it to a 1 minute right. So I'm volunteering that, but absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, that would be fun if you're doing this as a 1.5 hour talk to see.
Well, I teach this class. I only take 4 students. It's 2 hours for 4 students, and they come to the class with their 14 things on their piece of paper, like my pool gal. And we go through like several of them, and here's the commercial, you know, and has your hose taken up residence in your pool? If so, you need a repair. I'm Robin Roberts, blah, 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 pool repair. Come talk to me. That's it. That was 10 seconds. Done.
Right.
You don't need to know more. So that we do that in the class.
Awesome. Well, we gotta come. All right, I believe we are out of time for our evaluation portion. And before I turn the meeting back over to our presiding officer, our president, I do want to make a note to thank you everybody for being there. But I gotta say, Kim, hello, it's nice to meet you. She's a member that I've never met, so I'm glad you're here. Thanks, everybody. I think it was a really good meeting. And I think what this has done is shown you where POPS shines. We are professional speakers. That's what we're doing. And everything is we practice and then the feedback so that we can do it better and better. Thanks, everybody. Robin, take it away.
Thank you so much, Deb. Great Toastmastering there. And wonderful, really enjoyed. Katie, I enjoyed your presentation. I enjoyed giving mine. I really appreciate the feedback. I so appreciate all of you really sharing what you thought and not sugarcoating it, and not, it's very helpful to everybody. So thank you for showing up and participating and giving grace to let us all learn how to be the technical host, how to run a poll, how to do all of these things. Because I will tell you, as a professional speaker, there's a huge market in virtual speaking. It's not going away. These companies have figured out they don't have to fly everybody in. So this is a playground for getting to be the expert that you can be. And I'm glad that you're all here. Having said that, Kim, I don't think you were on earlier. We did recognize John as our table topics winner and number 2 right there for international. And we understand in another area you took number 1 in international. So congratulations to you. We give you big.
It's the same area. It's the same area.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, just different club.
Yeah. Well,
I was a last minute thing. Dining out's person backed out and I was the alternate. So I had to jump in the night before. So
there you go. But you know,
I was originally going to speak in L.
There's not a person more ready to jump in the night before than Kim Stengel. I know that. All right. with that, I want to take a few moments to chat with our guests, and I'm just wrote them down, so I'm going in the order I wrote them down. And Mark, you were first, but now you're not on the screen. Are you there? I'll come back to you. It's all right. Millie, talk to us. You're visiting again. I think that's number 3. That's almost automatic membership.
I'm not sure what's, I'm a former Toastmaster of many years. And Katie has inspired me to come and try this meeting. We first met at an NSA meeting in 1999, and we've remained friends ever since, supporting each other in our efforts. So thank you, Katie. Thanks for the invitation.
And I thank you for being here, Millie. And I will say, I think Toastmasters is only second to the Marine Corps. Once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. You're always a Toastmaster. So glad to have you back again today. And we go to Bev. Bev came on camera. Hey, Bev, tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you got here, and what you thought of the meeting.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the welcome. I came across a group back, I think it was in December. I joined, but I haven't been showing up because of my schedule. So I think I was at some type of a meeting on a Saturday, and someone, I think it was Yvette, who introduced the group in the chat. So I took the information. So I'm visiting. The last time I tried to hop in, my job, I ended up having to hop off. I do some sales. My background is nursing. I am launching my health coaching group for women who are struggling with controlling their numbers. So diabetes, hypertension. So that's where I'm going with this, and looking forward to what I can learn. This does fit my schedule really well, so I am close to joining. So,
well, Debbie, you reach out and get Bev.
Bev, will you put your email address in the chat, and then I can get a hold of you?
Yes, all visitors. I think actually Deb's got everybody else but Deb. But Bev, I need to slow down once in a while. Okay, Mark, I'm back to you. Hello again. Nice to see you.
Hello again. Nice to see you all. I liked the 2 talks today, and I'm trying to get more and more comfortable with Zoom with multiple people on it. I've done some Zooms just one-on-one, but I'm not as smooth at it as I want to be. So this is very good training for me.
Practice makes perfect. You can practice.
That's right. That's right.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, lovely to have you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And Juanice, who is also like almost, she's got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot on the threshold. Hey, gal. So glad you're here today.
Howdy, guys. It was great to come in. 4 o'clock on a Sunday actually does seem a little bit better for me. So I might be able to do this. Love both both presentations, and love the feedback that came back with it from everybody. So looking forward to hearing more.
All right. Excellent. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. Always good to see you. All right. Now, the next meeting is the 20th of March. And I see everybody racing to type a tab, Pathway of Professional Speakers, so that you can go to the site to sign up for a role.
So Kim, you should sign up, because then you could give your award-winning speech this way. And John, I think you had a different date, but we can do the table topics on that date for you. I will get 3 people to tell you 3 different questions, and then you get to practice.
We will come up with the most obnoxious questions possible. I promise. Now, describe the taste of water. Anyway. Excellent.
That sounds like a great meeting plan.
Linda Kay is going to be speaking on that day, and she's a new member that hasn't spoken. So, but I still think we have time. So
awesome. All right, I've got either there's a fly in front of Annette, or she would like to say something.
I would. I think one of the benefits, first of all, I loved having 2 round robins. And
I
I know, and I don't mean to be condescending in any way, but because we're all at a different level and we want to be professionals, there's no nitpicking going on. It's all very, it's good, it's professional, it's what you want to see, it's what you would pay for. That's number one. Number two, the benefit that I see, the biggest benefit is being on Zoom, is to be able to watch it again. Like if Katie could see it. And I have a coach that really wants to see the speech that I did because it was so fabulous. Anyway,
Yeah, did you go look? Is it not there?
I'm not sure where to look.
I might not have given her the link. I might-
Okay, all right. And Christina, I think I owe you a couple of videos. Mark was asking about the last meeting as well. And I think I owe you a couple of videos. So we'll definitely get that caught up. Christina's our amazing YouTube curator and she gets stuff up there. So it's not that she's not doing what she's supposed to do.
Right. I know. I just think maybe Miss Debbie got wrapped up in, petty stuff like working.
Oh, yeah, well, that's almost over.
I know. Yeah. Yes.
All right.
but-
Jennifer, did you have an appeal to make?
Oh, yes. As you know, our Toastmaster year ends June 30th, but we would like to go ahead and see if there's any people that want to be officers for the next term. And I will be reaching out to a couple of people, but if you do want to be an officer, email Robin or email myself. If you don't have my information, email Robin, and she'll give it to me. But we hope to have elections in the next month. So we know who the officers are going to be, and there's a good transition team to be able to get ahead of the new Toastmaster year and have that good transition. Thank you
Very much. And listen, as much as it would be nice for Jennifer to personally call you and invite you to hold an office, she's a very busy lady. So consider that you've been called and personally invited to hold an office, and raise your hand, please. All right, is there anything else? Excellent. Well, in that case, meeting adjourned. We'll see you on the 20th. If you want to hang out for a few, that's cool. But for those of you who have to go, goodbye. Thanks for being
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Robin, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is there a place we were supposed to be looking if we've given a speech before and we want to be able to see the recording of it?
Yeah, there's a YouTube. If you go on YouTube and put in Pathway of Professional Speakers, we have a channel.
Oh, can everyone see it or can just us?
Just Christina, I forget, is it private? What is it? Jeez.
No, everyone can actually see it. If you give me a second, I'll put the link in the chat.
No, thank
I
you.
won't have to worry about it.
But I do know, I went to look the other day for something and I thought it would be there. And then I'm like, okay, so maybe I didn't get it to